There's the condenser, liquid line, the accumulator dryer, suction discharge lines. Got my condenser, compressor, the accumulator dryer, and the liquid line with the orifice tube already in it. Suction discharge lines. Got my tools. Probably need more as I go, but at least got a metric socket set and a ratchet. Okay, we'll get started with removing the serpentine belt. A 1/2 inch ratchet with a 15mm socket. Okay, next we'll remove the suction and discharge lines, which had a leak, so there's no pressure. The high pressure cutoff switch. Loosen this clamp. Still removing the suction discharge line. Here's the discharge high pressure line going into the condenser. Remove this 13mm. And slide off this quick disconnect. AutoZone, $12. Alright, I'll take off this covering. Get our disconnect tool to push the spring up from underneath. Work it up. And then it'll release. There we go. And just slide right off. We'll get our quick disconnect tool. Okay, got some WD-40 on this thing to help slide behind that spring a little better. It's popped out. There we go. Just get this accumulator out of the way instead of fighting it to get the liquid line out. One clip. Another clip. There it goes. There. I'm gonna disconnect this switch here. Got a 16mm. The accumulator is out of the way. This liquid line should come out. So I want to salvage this insulation. Okay, I hope that was worth it. But it just comes off. There's this lip here. That's what's holding it on. Got a 13mm socket. Loose. Compressor. So I rented this AC flush tool from AutoZone. A canister with some flush. Got my air compressor at 100 psi. I recommend anywhere 90 to 150. Okay, I've captured all the flush that was in there. So I'll continue to flush with the air to evaporate out all that flush. It's mainly just a vapor mist, so I'll just cover it with this rag here. It says must add oil as marked by this decal, and so that's going to be this plug here. The OEM compressor that failed, the original compressor, it tells you the oil amount of 210 cc. This PAG 100 is 236 milliliters. Here's my super accurate way of seeing if I added half. Yep. To the oil plug on the compressor. Just have to compress it and then push it over from its middle position, and there you go. Okay, go ahead and remove this protective cover now that the compressor is installed. So I want to turn the compressor over and make sure that oil is primed. So I got this 13 millimeter I'll put on the main shaft. Since the clutch is disengaged, you won't be able to turn it from here. Okay, I've turned it over plenty. Alright, so we'll reuse these rubber mounts. This stud came with it, so I don't have to reuse this here. I'll go here. Metal gaskets that come with the compressor, they're metal compression gaskets, won't be used since we got them on the suction discharge line. Drop the lines back the way they were. Lines came with the new bracket. I'll just remove this old one. Leave your discharge line disconnected because it'll interfere with the installation of your liquid line. Feed it through. And don't install your accumulator yet. You need all the room you can get to get this thing in. So the instructions say half the oil in the compressor, the other half in the accumulator or low side of the system. So I'll pour the other half right into the accumulator. There it is. Just a little click. Okay, so I slid this band around and snug that up. So I'll try and put these back in the same general location. Okay, we can go ahead and connect these lines. Put some oil in there. There it is. Suction line. Okay, 16 millimeter AC cycling switch. Okay, larger ones go on the accumulator. And the slightly smaller diameter ones go on the liquid line. Suction discharge line on the new compressor, I noticed there's a gap because of these metal washers. It's going to look like a gap, so no need to over tighten this to try and close the gap. Since I've gone and double checked all my connections, ran through the whole system and made sure everything was snug, sealed, the clips are on, so I'll put the serpentine belt on. There are the gauges. The low pressure side, the high pressure side, and then the yellow ones running down to the vacuum pump. It was right there, and I ran that pump for a half an hour, probably closer to an hour. Disconnect the yellow line from the vacuum pump.